Welcome listeners and viewers to another episode of Universal Energies. As you know, this program is there for giving people understanding of faiths and beliefs, and maybe they might be at crossroads in their lives, or they might not understand or want to know other information. This information is given freely, and you can download and have a look at this at your leisure. I'm going to introduce my two lovely guests today, which is Sue Tyrrell and Carl Bottomley. Now, I know that the questions that they have asked, and we will ask them, will give you that insight of where you want or maybe wish to go in life. So without further ado, I'm going to come to you, Sue.
Yes.
Sue is an international medium, also a spiritual minister and a healer. And as we say that, let's ask you, how did you come into this, Sue?
Well, I saw spirit when I was a little girl, and obviously that changed as I got older, and I came more deeply involved after I'd had my last son, who's now 40 years old. And I began working with spirit and started working on platform as a platform medium, and then I went on to do healing, and that is basically really how I started, by sitting in a development group and learning how to use spirit in the right way, how to work with spirit in the right way.
Now, I've known Sue, listeners, my friends, for a long while. We go back a long way, and I know that Sue is a very genuine and wonderful person. We've been through quite a lot together, and I remember starting with ages ago, and we worked together at the Barbers. Remember we worked at Barbers?
Right, we did, didn't we?
That was a long while ago.
That was a long while ago.
But the relationship has never ever faltered, because wherever Sue is, I sometimes, and a lot of the times I used to, when I did a lot of work for spirit on the churches, we met together and we did all kinds of things.
That's right.
From psychic suppers to demonstrations.
That's right.
To Uncle Tom Cobley and all. And it's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
Can I come to you now, Carl, please?
Yes, certainly.
I'll say to you that how did you first come into it, knowing that you also are a spiritualist minister and a medium and a healer?
Well, it goes back to really my teenage years, and
Not too long ago then.
I had an experience which opened my eyes, and I got home late one night and didn't want to disturb people, so I didn't put the lights on in the house, but there was a light appeared in front of me and took me upstairs into my bedroom, and when I closed the door, the light went. And I just thought, oh, a guiding light. Jumped in the bed and went to sleep. And it weren't until afterwards I started thinking about it. And then gradually I got more and more interested. And then basically went to a spiritualist church because I wanted to understand more of what I'd seen. And I thought that would be the right place to go to. And that's when I realised that I had a real interest in spiritualism, sort of thing now, and whether you use the word spirit or spiritualism, two different things, sort of thing, you know.
Don't you find it very fascinating that once you have experienced something, it can be a minute speck of sand in the overall picture of things, but one thing leads to another, and before long it snowballs?
Very much so, very much so. I mean, apparently when I was a kid, a small kid, I used to say things and people wondered how I knew. I mean, I personally can't remember these things, but I've been told of these things. So obviously I was very lucky in being able to communicate with spirit at a very, very young age.
All these things resonate with me, as Sue will tell you. They all resonate with all of us, because we've gone down that road and we've been pulled back, and we've gone down again, we've been pulled back, but the more we get pulled back, the more dedication there is to do what comes naturally to us, if you like.
I think that's very true, because I done something from that experience, and which I wouldn't recommend anybody to do, but I call it dabbling, which I suppose in some respects I was dabbling with it by communicating with spirit, not understanding really what it was about. And it wasn't until I went to the churches that I realised, hang on, you're doing the wrong thing here. You know, you need to learn how to control this, what to do to protect yourself and things like that, because you do need to protect yourself.
I do understand where you're coming from, Carl, and I think that can I change that word of dabbling to experiencing, trying to experience things, because that's what life is about. We experience, whether we're spiritual or not, whether we have a faith or not, all life's journey is an experience. So all experiences lead to where we are now, if you like.
Yeah, I accept what you're saying there. It was just a word
No, that's fine. I was just trying to reiterate for our viewers so that when they hear it, they can, oh yes, dabbling and experience, and we can look at that the same ilk, if we like.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, thank you. That's really nice comment. Now, can I involve both of you here? And don't all jump at once when you want to speak. But can I just say, you are both spiritual ministers. How did you get into the ministry? What led you down this path?
Well, many years ago I used to go to church, the Protestant church. I was a Christian, and I used to see things and I didn't understand it, but we used to have to go. We were christened, confirmed, and it brought me to the fact that I couldn't find what I was looking for by going into the church. No one understood, and as this was all new to me and a new experience,
you understand, yes, really resonating.
and I was invited along to a spiritualist service with a friend of mine because she'd lost some relatives, and I went along, and that was my first experience, and I felt as though I'd found where I belonged after many years, and that was the beginning of my start on my spiritual journey.
That really resonates, as I said, what you said here. I was confirmed, christened,
Yeah.
and went down the road of got married in the Christian church.
Yes, that's
and,
right.
My children weren't christened. They weren't christened because by that time I'd looked at my understanding differently, and I started to question like we do. But yes, I can understand exactly what you are saying here. So as we're looking at this from a ministry point of view, you are also a healer.
I am a healer, and I have worked with healing for 40 years now, and I like helping people, I like being there for people, and that is where my healing began. And in that direction I was then asked some years later if I would actually take on the role of training healers for a association, and so I became a healer trainer, and it travelled on from there until later on I was asked if I would become an assessor as well, to assess other people who were training their students, and that is how it took off, and it just spiralled.
I'm sure that the viewers, the listeners, sometimes we get confused when we talk about the two, but we mean them both the same, with all due respect. They would like to know if they got in contact with you through your, when you download this, would you be able to put them in contact with somewhere where they can go on these healing courses?
I would be able to put them in contact with the association that would have a wide knowledge of areas where they have other spiritual healer trainers that could teach them and take them through the healing course, because the healing course now has to come up to a certain standard, because we all need insurance today.
Yeah, it's one of these things in life whereby political correctness and health and safety
That
and all
is
the rest of
correct.
it, yeah.
Mm.
And that was a pun. That was correct. Wasn't it?
That was correct.
Thank you, Sue. Can I ask the same question to you, Ken Carr?
Yeah, I mean that's quite an interesting question from my point of view, because well, like both of you two, I was brought up in the Church of England, and I was Christian and confirmed and married in the Orthodox Church, but then I got into the spiritualist movement, and I actually spoke to my priest about it, and I asked him what he thought about the fact that I'd got into spiritualism, because he wanted to know what I'd got out of it. And I said, well, to cut a long story short, all the things you taught me have now been proven that can happen, all the miracles and everything what goes with it, sort of thing, you know. And so because I got more and more into the spiritual movement, but I always felt that there was something more to it that I wanted to do, and I didn't really know what it was. And then I met Sue, realised she was a minister, and saw her working. That's what it is. That's what I'm missing. I want to do that sort of thing, you know. And so that I can help people in a different way as well. And a lot of people will take you more seriously because you're a minister. And never mind the spiritual part about it. The fact that you're a minister.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are still in a situation with ministers or people of a higher situation within the church, so we say. That could be anyone from bishops to curates right the way through to vicars, where it's like it's almost like a controlling situation that people still have, and they still look at that. Going back, they look at things that when it first started, it's not too many years ago since it was sort of hell and damnation from a platform that was preached.
Absolutely.
And we're glad we're out of that situation here. But all roads lead to where we are now.
That's true.
And so that was really nice, the way you explain things. That goes like, can I just involve you both again, whereby you are both ministers,
Yes.
but do you sit on a board to assess ministers, or do you know what I'm trying to say here?
We do sit on a board to assess ministers. We can also train new ministers that come along.
Right, okay.
So,
I mean, we when people want to become a minister, the association will ask Sue especially, because she's the chief one in our area, and can she put a board together? And then we have to question the applicant to see whether we think they're suitable.
And what does the board consist of? Who do they consist of?
the board consists of 3 ministers, 3 appropriate people, and we have certain questions that we have to ask, why they want to become a minister. We also like them to read a short verse out of the Bible, so we know that they can talk properly to people, and so we truly know that by becoming ministers, then they have the ability to be able to carry it forward. After we've done the assessment, the papers go off to the association that they're linked with, and they have to take them to their committee, and they will look over them, and the reports that the body of ministers, there's 3 which we have to have 3 to interview, the body of ministers have sent to them, and they will discuss it and decide whether they think the answers to the questions and the report notes from the board will actually allow or be sufficient for that person to become a minister.
that's very good information for those who are seeking.
Because the other thing we like to hear them do is a prayer from the heart, not read out of a book,
No.
but a prayer from the heart. I mean, it's not a necessary thing from our questions, but that's something we have introduced into it.
Yeah.
Because if you can't say a prayer from the heart, you've got a long way to go before you can be a minister.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a previous person that I interviewed who had no faith or understanding at all. A very nice guy, could do anything for anybody, but he didn't. The only reason he didn't have a faith was because he thought that he didn't want to get down the roads of a controlling dictatorship. He wanted to be in a situation whereby he listened to himself and conversed with Spirit, and what Spirit told him or advised him, he would question. And
Well, I'd agree with him on that.
so I was just, when you said what you said, I just sparked off that conversation that we had. And these things do happen in life, you know. And you know, my memory's not very good, and I had to say it while I was there. But a very nice guy, and you have met him, and you don't know, but you have met him on different places that have been. He comes to the centre quite often, you know, and he will talk on different things. He's quite an educated man. But having said that, then yes, thank you for those comments. That was really, really good. And I know that you listeners, friend, will understand that all these are tools that you can explore and find out, and maybe or maybe not you would like to understand a bit more, but the information and the knowledge is always there for you to find out, if necessary, when that time is right for you. Now, can I just throw something in the mix here, whereby we have a lot here of understanding about religious faiths, denominations, whether it be right from the Methodists to the Anglican to the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Scientologists and all the rest of the theologies, if you like. Okay? But it's all based on one book here. And this book, what do you think about the book itself? I've had it saying the book is a book of history, a book of legends, a man-made book open to interpretation from lots of people, and that's why we've got so many different conflicts of interest, if you like. What is your opinion, Sue, on this?
Well, my opinion is it is a book. It was written for reasons so other people could read all of the information that was given when our Lord was on this earth and before he came to this earth. It does affect a lot of people because, to me, I always say that it's a book that is full of love and other things, but to me you need that love within you to understand. And yes, I'm actually a Christian spiritualist and I do believe in God and I do believe in the Lord, but I'm not pushing other people into my beliefs.
No.
I always, everybody's entitled to their beliefs. What I believe in my heart is my belief, and I'm happy to accept others as they come to me.
Yeah, me too. That's the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the program was set up, so that you can get different people's aspects and understanding, so people have a choice and they can go down the road if they want to, have a little further. I'm not saying everybody's going to be a saint overnight.
No.
You know, well, we're going to be a healer overnight, or a medium, or a minister, or overnight. But they have the tools that they can have a look and see, and that's what the discussion is about.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. And what is your opinion on this, your take on this, little guy?
Again, a very interesting question, and one what can cause debates to go on for hours, sort of thing. So I'm going to have to keep this short, obviously. But the Bible is what we're talking about. It is a book of books. So with all different volumes and written by different people, and I find in some cases the book contradicts itself. And but the different faiths take different things out of it and put their interpretation on it, and this is why we've got the different faiths, because as you said earlier, it's all based on one book, but people read it differently, and one passage may mean something to me and it'll mean something to Sue, and again it'll mean something different to you, and this is where it all differs. Yes, I'm still a member of the Church of England. I'm definitely a Christian spiritualist, and I'm a Christian spiritualist minister. So a lot of people don't realise that spiritualists can be Christians, and although there are spiritualists who are not down that road, but through the churches, they have to preach what they believe in and what they think the word of the book means. And if you belong to a faith, then you should follow that faith.
And whatever your beliefs are, yes, they're quite true. And as you quite rightly said, sorry to interrupt, so that we don't push anything on anybody else.
No.
The idea is for them to come into an understanding when they're ready to do that, and when they have that time within themselves.
Well, I think that's
all these
one
hectic lives and
yeah.
things.
Sorry to interrupt there, Rob, but I think that's one of the things what drew me to the spiritualist movement, that all denominations were welcome, but you didn't have it rammed down your throat.
No.
This is what we think, it's up to you what you make of it, sort of thing.
That's quite true here. That brings me on nicely to another point here, whereby we know that there's a lot of people in the Christian and the spiritual faiths and other faiths here who have their own understanding, their own beliefs, as you rightly said, Carl and Sue, about you read different things into the Bible and their interpretation. And sometimes there's a conflict of interest about, from one, maybe working with spirit, maybe being a spiritualist, and maybe being a working medium. Bearing in mind that when we first started, Sue, all our avenues were Christian Spiritualist Church.
Yes.
Today we have people like psychics that are coming out the window. I do not knock them at all, because at the end of the day then we are all psychic, and sometimes we have to use that, dare I say, power that we have, or the understanding would be better, because we don't want to alienate someone who maybe is sitting for us to start with and has no faith at all, and is quite frightened about the aspect of talking to dead people.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yes. We have that given to us loads of times, like, oh, you're the one who talks to the dead.
Yeah.
No.
So therefore, if we look at it like that, and yes, it is humorous, of course it is, because if we don't laugh, and I've heard it saying that certain people will say, you don't laugh on a platform because it's a serious endeavour. Yes, it is a serious endeavour, but if you think you're going to be a saint overnight when you pass from this life to another, you have got another thing coming.
Absolutely right.
So how you are is how you will be. And the bottom line is, and I'd like your opinion on this, is you are born from spirit and you will go back to spirit no matter what you've done here, but the journey is the important thing in the physical.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
I find that we're here to experience through our life things that will help us when we go back to spirit, to help us progress further. And it's not the problems we go through, it's the way we look at them when they come before us and how we deal with everything that's placed in front of us. Okay, yes, we don't have any easier life than anyone else, and we all have our problems.
Well, sometimes we have a worse life.
Well, that is true. Sometimes we have a worse life. But then, you know, we have spirit to help us, don't we? We have so much help around. We have the healing. We have people that we can talk to that help us to go through those troubled times. You know, there's so many people around and so many prayers sent out that we have that added help that others don't always have. And so it helps us get through perhaps sometimes a bit easier.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you something that maybe you've come across and maybe you've not. When we get into churches or affiliations of any sort, we get involved with committees. And when we get involved with, you know where I'm going here.
Oh yeah, I made a funny face. I apologise.
When we get involved in this situation, there becomes, because we're all individuals and we all have our own ways of doing, saying and thinking things, there's a conflict of interest within there. What do you, without being brief, so we don't go in there too much, what do you think about that situation?
Well, I've sat on several committees and no more, not again. I don't mind, I just want to do my work to help other people and let everyone else argue in their committee members and let them get on with it. But as long as I do what I do from my heart and I feel I've done it right, I'm not worried about the committees anymore. I've tried it, I've been there, I've walked that walk, and I don't want to do it again.
Someone said to me only yesterday, that's why the question has come up. I've been down to your local church. You don't seem to go very often now, she said, but there seems to be, I thought you were all sort of Christians in there. I sat down and no one spoke to me. So I said, well, perhaps, you know, they didn't want to alienate you and you're in your own space. And they said, no, I've been going there for a long while and no one spoke to me. So we went through a situation whereby I said, well, unfortunately, but we all have good days and bad days, and maybe there was a situation around there who the person on the door or giving the books out or doing this or doing that or doing something, you know, maybe had a really bad day, maybe a bad experience that's happened or something like that. There's no excuse for them to take it there, but maybe their mind was elsewhere and they didn't mean to do say this thing. I get that quite a lot, whereby people expect you to be a saint, if you like, because you are a member of a church or affiliation of the church. So what's your opinion on that one?
Well, I think every church, no matter what the denomination is, but should give you a warm welcome, whether you're a new member or whether you're an existing member of that church. There's no excuse at all for ignoring people, and I think that's very bad of any church to do that. Yes, it does happen, we all know it does, and I think you summed it up in a nutshell when you said it depends on what side of the bed they got out of. Something.
Yeah, and I don't think, well, that's a different workshop altogether, so we won't go down that one. But I do think that each to their own, and unfortunately in life, and I use it quite a lot, and I've had it proved to me what comes round goes round, and in every aspect of life. But I do feel that we live in a life whereby it's easier to be in a negative state than it is in a positive. Because being positive, as you will know, Sue, when you are at rock bottom, is quite difficult at times.
It is.
She's told me how you get on it. No, you don't say that. But that yeah, it is quite difficult at times, you know, but when you do get onto a positive, you find that you attract that positivity, and so things don't look quite so gloomy, and life is a bit better, no matter what you're going through. And I find it very hard, and my mission in life, if you like, is to help people to think the positive, the yin and yang, as some listeners might know, well, to think the positive rather than the negative on the life that we are living here at the moment. Because I do feel that the three energies that we use in everyday life, the emotional, the physical and the spiritual, if they're all in harmony, like I hope we all are at the moment,
Yeah.
it goes down well, but we only have to have one out, and when we're out, life is not so good for us. And when we're thinking on a negative, we'll attract that negativity. And as it comes along, then it seems to snowball. So my mission, if you like, is to try and help people to get, hence this program, hence the centre, whereby there's no clauses on it for any denominations at all. There's no understanding that you have to go down a certain road and do a certain thing. Give people the tools and they will find that they're not daft. They will find their own ways in life. And that's why I invite people like yourselves, and it was very lovely, and it still will be, to come on this program here. So can I just say that when we ask the question about the conflict of interest here, let's knuckle it down here. Do you think there's a conflict of interest between being a medium and a Christian?
Yes, there is a difference, I think, because great saying of one of my guides is that there are many spiritual people, spiritualists, but not many spiritual people. And I sometimes find that there is a conflict of interest. And I do feel that we come here, as you say, to help other people on their path, to help them look at the positive in their lives. And once they're up and they're strong enough, the best reward for anyone, or for myself, is to see somebody be able to change their outlook on life and go forward, knowing that my door is always open if they need some help, and they're always welcome back at their troubled times. So they can come and talk to me at any time. It doesn't matter about religion, it doesn't matter about being a medium, it doesn't matter. It is just the fact that if you are yourself and you are true to yourself, then other people will know that, and they will come along, and whatever problem they have around them, we can just listen to them, because they just want to be listened to. But being a medium, standing on platform in front of a lot of people, to me sometimes it doesn't always bring the spiritual part of someone out. And being a healer is different, but I try to be positive myself, and I feel that it should come hand in hand. But by the lessons that I've learnt from others, where it doesn't always ring true.
I've always seen you as a very positive lady, and no, you're not getting paid for it. But having said that, I do understand and resonate what you were saying. Can I just ask you, Carl, briefly here, that Sue's hit the nail on the head by saying that there is a bit of a conflict of interest, but I had the question put to me a little while ago that in life we're like a horse race blinkered. We're going down one road, and if we think that that one road happened 2,335 years ago, and before that everything else is wiped out, how is that conflict of interest there dealt with in society today?
Well, I think society today are beginning slowly to take the blinkers off. They're beginning to look at a wider field because they hear of this, they hear of that, and they think, oh, hang on, we really need to sit down and think about this. So, you know, you've only got a small field of people who are very, what I call narrow-minded. The rest of them are now beginning to open up and listen to what other people have got to say. And that's the beauty of what we do, because you say, this is what I think. It's up to you to pick out the bits you like about it.
I agree. That's what I was trying to pull out from you. I have this way of trying to pull it out. But having said that, I do strongly believe that as we go along in this life, in society, in another maybe 20, 30 years' time, the spiritual churches will be not quite so prominent, if prominent at all, and spiritual centres, whereby they, the aspect of looking at all denominations and getting the bits that resonate with you out will be more prominent. How do you feel about that?
Over to you on that one.
Well, I've always thought that as well, and I think that many of the churches will take a step back, and there will be the spiritual centres where youngsters can come and learn. They haven't got to be a member of a certain association. They can come along for the evening. Doesn't matter what they believe, what their faith is. They can come and we can talk about things and learn from each other. And I feel that the spiritualist churches will gradually, the doors will gradually close, the more spiritual centres will open.
I do feel do you resonate with that?
I look at a slightly different aspect sort of thing, you know, because I don't want people to take this the wrong way when I say that you do not have to go to church to be spiritual.
I agree with that.
Sort of thing, you know.
Totally.
And there are a lot of people who go to church in all denominations, who go to church every week, to me, are less spiritual than what I am.
That's life. That's the way life is.
And with the spiritual centres, I think you've got to have a church within a spiritual centre, because I think some people do need that church aspect. They do like the divine part of spiritual meetings. And this is where you've got the two halves. You've got some who don't, some who do, and hence, being a Christian spiritualist, I like the church.
I do agree, but I can see that, and I'd like briefly your comment because time is running out on this. I can see the situation that the churches are diminishing, the centres are opening up, but this is the spiritual centres. The churches, if you need that divine understanding, are still there. The question I'm asking you is, would they allow you to come in to a Christian church or an Anglican or a Roman Catholic church knowing that you are a spiritual minister and a medium of a spiritual church?
If I can just take this one on board and give you a very brief answer to that, I haven't done it yet, but I've been invited by the Salvation Army to go to one of their meetings and talk about spiritual healing.
Good on you, because I have done that, and when I was in London I've been taught on spirit in Catholic churches, because my denominations are the life. And my understanding is life. You know my paganistic things around there. I'm an ordained witch as well. But having said that, that was going on before. That's the question.
Absolutely.
Beforehand, and if you need to have spirituality, just go outside and get to nature and see the spirituality that is there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I have come across other ministers from different faiths, and some of them are quite happy to accept you. I think some of them, the idea of a woman in many things, when I first became ordained,
Well, that's
it wasn't very good, but
fortunately that's the
today,
sexist society, isn't
that
it?
is today the younger ministers understand all about healing and everything. It is just the fact of the mediumship that they don't understand.
Well, I used to be a medium, but I'll put it on a bit now. I'm extra large. And with that, I'll say thank you so much, Carl and Sue, and it has been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Rob. Lovely to be
You're very
here.
welcome, Bob.
Thank you for inviting
Thank
us.
you for the invite.